Let's talk about the one thing that's on everybody's mind. Is AI coming for our jobs? I mean, the headlines are just everywhere, right? They're filled with all this anxiety and speculation, especially if you're just starting out in your career.
And it's not just random speculation. You've got warnings like this one, coming straight from the CEO of a major AI company, Anthropic. He's talking about a massive, massive disruption to the entry-level job market. We're talking seriously high stakes here.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Is all of this just hype, or are we already seeing the first signs of this shift out there in the real world? Well, to figure that out, we have to stop guessing and start following the evidence.
And that evidence, for the first time really, comes from a groundbreaking new study. Researchers got their hands on near real-time payroll data from ADP. That's the largest payroll provider in the US. So this isn't some small survey. No, we're talking about millions of actual workers being tracked month by month. This is the real deal.
The way the researchers described it, they were looking for the canaries in the coal mine. And that's such a perfect metaphor, right? They're on the hunt for those first, subtle, early warning signals that could point to a much, much bigger change coming for the whole economy. So let's start digging and see if we can uncover some of those first clues. We're going to begin with a couple of case studies, basically a tale of two very different jobs that tell a really fascinating story when you look at the numbers. Okay, check out the contrast here. It's pretty wild. On one side, you've got software developers, a job with super high exposure to AI. For young workers, we're talking people aged 22 to 25, employment has absolutely plummeted by nearly 20% since late 2022. But then look at health aides, a job with very low AI exposure. For that exact same age group, strong growth. It's this incredibly stark divergence, and it's our first major clue that a job's exposure to AI might be a huge deal for new grads. So, that's just two specific jobs. It's an interesting hint for sure. But does this pattern, this split between high and low AI exposure, does it actually hold up when we zoom out and look at the entire US economy? Well, let's check out the broader data.
All right, first, let's set a baseline. In jobs with low AI exposure, think about roles that need a lot of physical interaction or complex social skills, employment growth looks pretty healthy. It's actually similar across all age groups. Young workers and more experienced workers, they're on a very similar track. Nothing too surprising here. But this is where the canary really starts singing. In jobs with high AI exposure, the story completely flips, but only for the youngest workers. Look at that. While employment for more experienced folks keeps on growing, it takes a nosedive for those aged 22 to 25. This really just nails the core finding. The negative impact is incredibly concentrated on this specific entry-level group. And to put a hard number on it, since late 2022, we're looking at a 6% drop in employment for workers aged 22 to 25 in the jobs most exposed to AI. That's not just a little dip. It's a really significant measurable trend, and it's in the very first data we have.
Okay, so this brings up the next obvious question. Why is this happening? Well, it turns out that not all AI is created equal. The data points to a really crucial difference in how AI is being used at work, and that difference seems to explain, well, everything. The two big ideas here are automation versus augmentation. So the study defines automation as AI acting as a substitute. It just does the task for you with minimal human help. Think of it as just offloading the work. Augmentation, though, is different. That's AI as a complement. It makes the human worker better, right? It enhances what you can do, helps you learn, gives you feedback.
And here are some perfect examples to make it stick. Jobs like software development, accounting, and being an information clerk, they see a lot of AI being used to automate things. On the flip side, jobs like management, nursing, or maintenance and repair, they tend to use AI as a tool to augment the worker to help them do their job better. And this is the absolute crucial point. When the researchers divided the jobs this way, the pattern became crystal clear. That drop in entry-level hiring, it was happening almost exclusively in those jobs where AI is used to automate tasks. And in the jobs where AI is used to augment workers, employment for young people actually continued to grow.
Now, any good investigation has to rule out other suspects, right? Could something else be causing all this? I mean, is it really AI, or could it be the tech slowdown or remote work or something else entirely?
So what about the big tech slowdown we've heard so much about? The researchers tested this. They literally removed all tech firms and all computer-related jobs from the data. The result? The exact same pattern held up. This is not just a Silicon Valley story. This is happening across the entire economy.
Okay, well, what about remote work or outsourcing? Maybe companies are just hiring people somewhere else.
But the data shows the same decline for young workers in those high-exposure jobs that you can't do remotely. Think bank tellers or travel agents. So that doesn't seem to be the main reason either.
One last possibility, maybe companies are just paying less instead of hiring less. But the payroll data shows no major changes in annual salaries for these jobs. The adjustment isn't happening through pay cuts, it's happening through hiring freezes and just a lower headcount for new people trying to get in the door.
So after testing all these other theories, after trying to find another explanation, the evidence just keeps pointing back to one primary factor: a job's exposure to AI, and specifically the kind of AI that automates tasks.
Which brings us all the way back to our canary in the coal mine and the final verdict of our little investigation here. So what is that canary actually singing? What is it trying to tell us?
It's singing an early warning. It's confirming that this is not some far-off prediction anymore. This is the first real, concrete signal that a fundamental shift in the job market has already started.
So, let's just recap the 4 key takeaways from all this. Number 1, the first real data is in, and it shows a clear decline in entry-level hiring for jobs exposed to AI. 2, this hit is laser-focused on the youngest workers just trying to get into the workforce. 3, the whole thing is driven specifically by AI being used to automate and replace tasks. And 4, this is not just a tech problem. It is a broad signal that we are seeing across the entire economy.
Look, this data is really just the beginning of the story. It's the very first song from that canary. And it leaves us with a really powerful and frankly pretty urgent question. If this is what's happening at the entrance of the mine, what happens when these powerful AI tools spread even deeper into the rest of our economy?